Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Ushanka Digest, a collection of my videos covering the same topic. This digest consists of several videos I filmed in a small village in northern Ukraine. That's the place where my mother grew up, and also that's the village where I spent almost every summer in 1970s and 80s. Unfortunately, it's mostly abandoned now, but it's still interesting to explore. Enjoy the show. Last year I already showed you this shattered school that used to be a local landlord. Paretsky was his last name, that was his house. And it's closed for quite a while. People slowly stealing the bricks that were added later to surround the original house. And the only change here is someone, I think that used to be chemistry and physics classes there. Someone started taking it apart, used to steal in the boards and the roofing for their own project. So no one needs it, so people just come and steal it. Same here, some good people already broken in, took the door out so we can go and explore, and looky. I got symbol of Soviet Union still here. Made of plastics, that's a newer one. That's part of the old school. And I said people, because everyone's so poor, people stealing everything they can, taking old boards. Well, I got lucky, I found a book by Lenin, and it's called about communist way of raising children, so we're gonna keep it. Sweet. Little treasure hunt. Let's see what else we got here. An old poster. Geometry formulas. Some old pictures, but it's not an original reproduction, so we don't care about that. That's interesting. The corner of professional orientation. They show different skills they teach children. So that's pretty cool. I wonder if I can take some of those pictures off. My mom maybe will recognize some of these people. And this is one of the amazing items that I managed to recover in that abandoned school. Now I'm recording from Michigan. So that's the famous photo of Lenin reading a newspaper Pravda, the main newspaper of the Soviet Union. Pravda means truth, which is kind of interesting. Pretty ballsy to call your newspaper Pravda. And this is all handmade. There was probably some kind of project in school. I mean, I can only imagine. I bet you it's probably grandma or mother helped a kid. Like, look, that's a lot of work. So-called cross-stitching, I believe. I already ran it for the wash on a gentle cycle because that was all dirty, dusty. So it looks way better. Nice old fabric. So I'm planning to find a good, like a picture frame and wrap it to have it as a picture, so I think it's pretty neat. Very happy that no one was interested and no one took it. It was just laying there in that abandoned school that somebody already broke in before, and they probably were just interested in anything they can sell so they can buy alcohol. I also took with me some old photos. I'm planning to scan them and send them to my friends in the village, the farmers. Maybe they can recognize these people. I showed it to my mom. I thought maybe it's as old as her time in school, but she said she doesn't recognize people. She thinks it's probably sometimes when picture was taken maybe in 70s. She didn't recognize these people, but it's all about like a professional education, technical education in school. So they had kids learning how to plant corn, how to do other things that they can use for their future profession. And most of that I found, this is also related to agriculture. Need to clean this picture better. This is not the corn, I think it's beets maybe. So this one needs to be cleaned a little bit. So yeah, it's pretty neat. It'll be awesome if we can figure out names of the people in these pictures. Lenin's book about communist education that I also recovered there, 1959. And this book is in Ukrainian. There were quite a few pictures there, like posters laying on the floor about the beauty of Russian language. I found it kind of funny. They were quoting different poets, like famous poet Alexander Pushkin, about how beautiful Russian language is. So it's like they were teaching Ukrainians about beauty of Russian language. But this book is actually in Ukrainian. I also decided to take this as long. So that's about different professions in Soviet Union. Pretty accurate picture of the dump truck. I remember exactly this shape. It's probably old ZIL. So of course here you can, so you can move to the city and work in construction as an excavator operator. They didn't use real excavators in villages. Sweet picture here. You can work at a collective farm and you can pull the giant sled loaded with hay with a tractor. I thought this photo was amazing. Now this is really interesting. I showed my mom, she smiled because this is how she started her career in Kiev after moving from the village. She worked at the local kindergarten, детский сад. So here they show the lady providing lunch for kids. It looks like mashed potatoes and cutlets. So this is what my mom did. She worked at the kitchen and also as a cleaning lady in one of the kindergartens in Kiev. And for a while she actually was sleeping at night at the kindergarten, just like any other ladies that came from villages and they had no other places to live. They didn't have propiska. If you watch my channel, you should know what propiska is, the right to live in a specific city or village. So she slept on the floor on a mattress right in the kindergarten when it was empty in the evening. Another awesome photo, not a photo but a picture, bread factory. We didn't have little bakeries, there were all giant bread factories producing basic, like maybe 2 or 3 kinds of bread and cranking tons of those. Good memories of that. Always when you buy fresh, it's still hot bread out of bakery. Of course, it was never sliced. We did a lot of awesome things in Soviet Union. First satellite in space, first man in space. But we never could invent sliced bread. This is actually, by this picture we can determine around what time
this art was created because KAMAZ factory, the truck factory, it was, I believe, sometimes in the 70s, and when they opened that giant factory, I believe it's in Bashkiria, Kamsky Автомобильный завод. I was teaching my kid that pretty much every vehicle, every brand of cars or trucks in Soviet Union was always ending with AZ, Автомобильный завод, like car or vehicle factory. So that one is KAMAZ, MAZ, BelAZ, VAZ, all of them end with AZ. So here they show you people working assembly line, assembling KAMAZ trucks. And actually Oliver said out of all the Soviet trucks that he saw, KAMAZ was his favorite. And mine, of course, is the mighty Ural. That was a real nice surprise to discover that whoever broke in and cleaned up that school, they completely ignored these gas masks. So I took one of them, need definitely to clean it. Oliver is thrilled. Maybe he could use it as the Halloween costume. And that's that old-fashioned gas mask with the elephant trunk. And it reminded me of this Soviet joke about Soviet army when a little kid couldn't sleep, so he was bothering his father, who was a Soviet officer, Soviet army officer, that "Daddy, Daddy, I want to see elephants. Daddy, Daddy, I want to see elephants." And in the end, father gave up, said, "Okay, fine, kiddo." So then he makes all his soldiers to, have a night training, gas attack. And so they all donned this type of elephant trunk gas mask and started running around the building, and the kid excitedly clapping his little hands and yelling, "I love elephants, I love elephants." So that's another treasure I recovered in that school. It's pretty neat. So, and I guess we can make the ending for the story. And right after this video, we're gonna park at the old video about the school that I recorded last year. I mentioned in the beginning. So right next after this, we'll start a previous video from last year when I talk about history of that school in the village of Zhoved. Thank you very much. Enjoy the show. Hello, comrades, and welcome back to the Ushanka Show. Greetings from the northern Ukraine. Right now I'm standing in front of an abandoned school in my home village, more precisely my mother's home village in the northern Ukraine. This is the school that she attended. It was closed about 15, maybe 10 years ago, since they don't have enough kids in this village anymore. But my mother attended it in 1950s. She was born in 1948. So she went to this school till the 8th grade, then she had to go to the school in the next village to finish so-called high school. This building has a very interesting story. It used to be private residence of one of the local landlords. His name was Paretsky, Platon Paretsky, who was actually a famous Russian scientist. There's a little placard. So from 1889 till 1907, here lived the famous Russian scientist and professor of mathematics, Paretsky Platon. So he passed away in 1907, right before the Russian Revolution, 1917. So he kind of, you could say, got lucky. His wife, the widow, she barely escaped Russian troops or Soviet troops in 1920s when they started hunting down landlords in Ukraine. They took care of the people, landlords in Russia, and then when Stalin came to power and started pushing forcible collectivization, they came to Ukraine, and there were about 4 or 5 big landlords in this village, and most of them got killed or they left in advance. And his residence got turned into school. So right now it's really interesting. If you see, it's like the old new skin peeling off, and you see the old skin. You see the old building. In 1980s they installed bricks around the building. So there's the original building, which probably log cabin with the boards over it, and then they installed the brick, but now the brick is collapsing, exposing the original building and the original treatment ornament. So it's pretty neat the way it looks. As I said, it's abandoned for over 10-15 years. Some windows are broken, and broken glass got replaced. It's also interesting if you look. I don't know if you can see, it's reflecting too much, but it's the German language. Oh, right here maybe. I'm looking at a different window. Okay, so right here you could see it's they were studying German language, so that's the boards, study boards from the German class that now used for blocking the windows. It's really sad, really nice building, really nice location, no one needs it. So people just come and steal remaining of the brick, so this wall is slowly disappearing. So this is the main entrance. And it says Jovid Middle School. And I just talked to the lady who rode the bike. She recognized me, so she told me that there's a couple other abandoned buildings here. This one right here, this is used to be a kitchen, so there were just classes. This one is another building. This is it was a chemistry lab, so it's set separately right across the field. So of course all this was, you know, was just dirt, but now it's all overgrown with grass. So here they had a initial school. So first the 3rd grade kids studied in this building, so that would be like elementary school was right here, and a half of this building was library, small warehouses in the back, and also they had their own water well right there somewhere. Of course it's also abandoned. So interesting. I just asked my mom. She said that you know, the Poretsky passed away in 1907, and he got buried up here at a cemetery, but his wife got lucky. She got somebody told her, like, you need to leave before tomorrow the Soviets come and they are confiscating everything and they're killing most of the landlords. So she just grabbed whatever valuable possessions she had, hopped in a cab, horse cab, and she left. I couldn't find where did she go, if she survived, but she just abandoned everything and left behind. Some other big landlords, we had about 5 landlords in this village. Several of them got killed, their buildings got burned, but as I said, Platon Poretsky got lucky because he died right before the revolution and all that collectivization and other things started happening. I'll put the link below this video with from his biography on Wikipedia. It's quite interesting, and you might ask, like, how in the world did he end up in this middle of nowhere village? He married the widow, so this lady, his wife, she was a widow and she lived here, so he somehow met her and came from Russia, has settled here and lived for a long time. According to my mom, apparently he was a very good landlord. He wasn't rich because he spent a lot of money around here. There's a small old bridge that he built. Local peasants didn't have a bridge, they had to walk through the river, wander through the river by foot, so he built the bridge out of his pocket. And also he was generous, helping people who were in need. So he was a very nice landlord, so people had no bad feelings about him. But of course, when Soviets came, they didn't care, because any rich people were bad people. So as I said, my mom spent 8 years studying this school, and with every year it was less and less kids going to the school. At some point it just came, it's a pretty big building, as you see. There was no more reason to have a school because only a couple of kids attend. So now they have some kind of school bus service. And we don't have a lot of kids around here. I mean, the whole village has about 180 people. So they bus the kids to the other village, which still have school, and there's no school in our village. So this is kind of interesting. I thought you might enjoy this video. Really complicated history in this region, and now it's all, as I said, our village slowly dying out. There's a lot of abandoned homes around here. You can't hear anymore. This is probably a busy place. There's a lot of kids laughing, running around, and now it's just eerie quietness and nothing else going on. No blacktop, no concrete driveway. It's all dirt roads, dirt paths. This is northern Ukraine. Well, thank you very much for watching my channel. As always, don't forget to put likes under my videos and share with your friends. Yeah, right now we're in downtown Ushanka, another dying village here in the northern Ukraine. So right now it's around 1 o'clock on Tuesday. This is what downtown looks like. The skies are beautiful. This used to be a grocery store. It's closed probably for last 10 years, maybe more. This village has hardly any people left. There's only one street, which is right on the banks of a river. And so people bought from the cities, bought it as a summer home. So you can still see this road is being used, not overgrown. This used to be medical, like a little drugstore and a post office. Still got the mailbox, but watching the grass, there's nobody actually using it anymore. I think this place has maybe 20 permanent citizens, I want to say. Otherwise, it's just a collection of empty abandoned homes and abandoned roads. What's interesting, this is a Soviet era mailbox. So this is where you drop the mail. You open up and put the letter in there. I wonder if there's any letter still in there. Here used to be a symbol of Soviet Union, Gerb. That's the one with the sickles, and so that got popped out when Soviet Union disappeared. And here used to be Russian letter Pochta. So right here there's a letter Ch, which they never bothered to replace the mailbox. They just painted in Ukrainian letters Pochta. So it's spelled P-O-Sh-T-A in Ukrainian and P-O-Ch-T-A in Russian. And then they started adding, of course, when Ukraine became independent, our mail zip codes changed. It used to be different zip code, I don't remember now, but they changed to Ukrainian. See, they put the new symbol, says our post index, which is zip code 15213. And they then started changing when they remove mail. So originally it says letters would be removed at 1300 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then they added later except Wednesday, Monday, Sunday, Friday, and another day was added in the race. So pretty much never. Post office doesn't work and no one removes the letters from this mailbox. Yeah, I was wondering how you remove the letters. This is a little side access door. You need to have the key and you open it. So maybe still some letters in there. It definitely wasn't used for a while. There's no one walking towards this mailbox. I actually remember riding to this grocery store quite often. Sometimes if they didn't deliver enough bread to our village, which is about 5 kilometers south, you hop on the bike and you ride really quick here, hoping maybe they'll have some extra bread here so you can buy some bread. And bread was delivered 3 times a week in this area. The bakery factory is in a town, original town. It used to be called Shorts, now it's called Snovsk. And then they 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and I guess there'll be Friday. Or maybe anyway, don't remember. But 3 times a week they'll deliver bread, and usually there'll be limited amount. You usually get about one piece of bread per person. So if you have visitors, you're hoping to have enough bread to buy some extra for people who come here for summer. And right here close to downtown is grave from the World War II era, Great Patriotic War. So as you know, in the modern Ukraine they got rid of a lot of Soviet symbols, but anything related to World War II is untouchable. It's the common sorrow and grief. So here the sign says, we call it Bratskaya Могила. When you put a lot of bodies in the same grave, it's called Bratskaya Могила, so like the grave of brothers. So here they buried 3 unknown soldiers that never could figure out the names. And later they built this monument and put this statue on the top of it. And here you're looking at the bus stop. So definitely, I'm surprised it's not trashed. But they discontinued regular bus connection between villages a long time ago. Now just some private enterprise of people ride their little minivans a couple days a week for people who don't have a car and need to get to the local town to do shopping or to get their pension. There's hardly any internet. Out of modern conveniences, pretty much people have just electric power. There is some people who managed to install wells and indoor plumbing. And that's only a couple of farmers that younger ones who can work and make some money. Otherwise, older folks live like 100 years ago plus electricity. And here's an example of abandoned home. You could tell it was abandoned for a while. Got the wild grapes overgrown the house. Standard design, log cabin, cement, shingles roof. Already gates are missing, doors are missing. And there's 2 more homes also abandoned, standing empty. And that's a prime location, right close to downtown. No one wants it. No one lives here anymore. There's another abandoned house. It actually has a placard. I was trying to read. I thought it's something about people who used to live in this house, but it's actually explains that the name of this road behind me is named after 2 girls. In the memory of, can't see that far. So anyways, there's a guy who died fighting Germans. And the name street after him, but now street is empty and the homes are abandoned. So I was telling the story of my grandfather. This is kind of barn I was telling about. So it sits on the bricks, tilts I think is the correct word. Hey, rare traffic. Some small delivery truck just flew by. So to keep the rodents away from grain, they lift the whole building like that. They build it up, and so my grandpa was crawling under it and drilling the hole to get access to the grain. So this is how the old barns look like. So apparently some good people already broken in. The door is missing at the barn, so we go ahead and climb inside and explore it. Hope I won't find any dead bodies here. Pretty spooky. I assume some young people, if any young people left, maybe have some fun here. But I don't see any bottles. There's the second floor. How about that?
I'm surprised. The lumber is pretty good. I'm surprised they didn't get it taken apart for firewood. But it's completely empty. Some rustic vintage cabinet. Stairs going up on the second floor. Look pretty solid. Oh my goodness, this is so clean, so weird. It's almost like someone is still using it. And here probably can store hay. Used to have electricity. Pretty cool.
Hello everybody, greetings from northern Ukraine. My name is Sergei and I want to tell you a little story about the village I used to spend my summers in. My grandparents used to live here and I was coming here every summer break from beginning of June till the end of August and had the great time, great memories playing with my friends and helping my grandparents. Right now we're in northern Ukraine, Chernihiv region, about 20 miles away from the border with Russia and Belarus. And we are staying in the end of the street that used to be part of the village. There are about 16 households or homesteads that are abandoned right now. In 80s and 70s and earlier than that, it was a bustling little area with people having their little farms, cows, pigs, chickens. All this grass was nice and short cut, mowed by not lawnmowers but the cows. And now it's quiet, abandoned. And I want to tell you a little story about the places that people used to live. To the right you could still see some remnants of the barns. That was a Gonchary family. When the husband passed away, the lady moved out to the town to live with her kids, and the house was taken apart. All that left is a couple remnants of the barns, nothing else. To the left Here there used to be my grandpa's brother lived and his wife. They didn't have really good relations. He was drinking hard, and according to the rumors, she used to be quite friendly with German soldiers when this village was occupied, and they believed that the only kid they had was actually a kid from the German soldier, but of course nobody could prove or disapprove these rumors. After her husband hung himself in the barn, this lady was single for a long time. Then she had a guy who was a beekeeper, a really nice guy. He fixed the house nicely, and he told me the stories about him escaping the train going to Siberia. And all that's left here is the remnants of the gate and remnants of the old style barn that covered by, it's not actually a straw, but is a plant that grows along the rivers. But that's how the Ukrainian houses and barns used to be covered by this kind of tall grass that looks like straw. Was lasting for years. This roof is probably over 50 years old, and see, if it wouldn't collapse, it would be still looking pretty good. The house was taken apart after the lady passed away. First the beekeeper guy passed away, then the lady. She was single, as I said. Her daughter died when she was a little kid, and she was found dead about 3 to 4 days after she passed away, and her cat, being hungry, ate the most of her face. So they had to cover her face by the blanket when they buried her. House was also taken apart. All we have is the little remnants of the barn. All the power lines are cut down. We have a bird's nest. This road was never paved, but it was always well traveled, so there was all sandy tracks. Now you see just overgrown grass. To the left is another abandoned house. This is overgrown by wild grapes. My Kant family, he was a World War II veteran, and the government gave him a free car, Zaporozhets. So he was the only guy in this neighborhood who had a car. After he passed away, his wife also moved to next door town to live with her kids, and the house was abandoned. Nobody had interest to buy it or rent it. These bushes to the left is also, can't even tell there used to be a house there. It's all overgrown, but it was a lady and her mother. I barely remember her mother. She was in her 90s when I was around 10-year-old, so I just remember old lady who was walking around with the cane. After she passed away, the lady her daughter lived here, and she was a hardcore alcoholic. She was drunk all the time, and it's all I pretty much remember about her. Still some fruit trees standing here, and looks like some people are cutting grass for hay. And here we are approaching my grandparents' house. My grandparents were born in 1907, in June 1907, and my grandma was from village next door across the river, and my grandpa grew up here. They passed away in 1981 and 82, but we still use this house as a summer home till like 1997. Then it got into bad shape. See, it's still standing, half of it. Roof collapsed, windows got removed, glass got broken. It's a classical Ukrainian Russian log cabin style with the like cement tile roof. And over there used to be barns. My grandpa went through World War II. He was captured twice. First time he was captured in 1941, sometimes in the fall, and he was in Smolensk, Russia, in a POW camp along with his brother. And when he realized that they're not gonna make it because there was such really bad conditions and hardly any food that Germans gave them, they managed to escape. They hiked, walked back home to this village, hiding in the woods, or sometimes people let them stay at their houses. He told me once a story that they were sleeping in one house and they found something dry in the bag that tastes pretty good. It was like a snack, but it turned out to be dry frogs. Lady was drying frogs for the winter because she expected there would be no food. And when they came back, they didn't stay here for long. Got captured again by Germans, and this time they went all the way to Germany and they spent the rest of the war in Germany. And actually Americans freed them and they came back to Russia. But because there were traitors, according to Stalin, because you can't give up, you're supposed to fight to death, they were sent to Donbass, Ukraine, to rebuild coal mines. So they were in a labor camp there for a long time. It's there that my grandpa almost died. It was such a bad conditions, and grandma basically saved him. She managed to get a paper from the collective farm that the collective farm really needs him as a manager, and she went to Donbass and brought him back. This is another abandoned house. Chernish family also lived here till beginning of 90s. Then his wife passed away and he moved closer downtown, closer to the center of the village. Although he had really nice place, metal roof, which is really good, really expensive used to be to put here. And this place now is abandoned too. He was really a handyman, really good woodworking guy. He built the boats for the local fishermen, flat bottom wooden boats. Across there used to be a house that was taken apart in the 80s. There was an old lady named Alashka lived here. She was a very curious lady. Every time you walk by, you could hear she is peeking through the cracks on her fence to see who is coming along. Also, her son took apart her house when she passed away for firewood. All left in the back there is the cold storage. So now it's quiet and pretty much dead here. Nothing going on. And this is how the many villages in Ukraine look like right now. They're slowly dying because parents send their kids to the big cities in 50s and 60s, away from the hard life and collective farms. And those kids left and never came back, and when time came, parents passed away and all this became abandoned. Over there in the trees there was another house. I was a kid when those people passed away. It was an old clay built house, built out of clay blocks, and rumors were that the lady were a witch. And I remember when I was a kid, we were walking around that house and peeking through the windows being scared because they thought her spirit's still around there. This was always empty field when I was a kid, but it's called Meshkove. So there was Meshkov family lived here, and house was taken apart in 70s. So there was always empty field where the cows were grazing. If you look back there were no woods. It was a clear field where the cows were. But after everything got abandoned, trees are taken over. Here we're approaching another house. Misha Makan's family lived here. He was also a World War II veteran. He lost his left arm in the war. And I was always amazed watching him doing everything with his right hand, cutting wood, chopping wood, making his own cigarettes, homemade tobacco used in the newspaper. He was a very nice guy. I liked to hang out with him and listen to his stories. He was kind of bitter person because apparently his wife was also kind of friendly with German soldiers during the World War II. So also were rumors, of course, but he didn't sound happy. Got a pretty woodwork. Windows are taken out. Also was a very nice house. All these trees are grown in the last 20 years before it was wide open, and I remember riding around here on the bicycle. There was a house here on the left. It was abandoned quite a long time in the 80s. A lady who was our mail delivery person lived here for a while. I think she also had issues with drinking. House got abandoned. It's a real nice area, really quiet, close to the small river, close to the forest, woods where you can do mushroom picking and pick wild berries. It's really quiet, but the village shrunk quite a bit, and everybody now tries to live in the center of the village, close to the grocery store and a post office, and several kilometers, a couple of miles, there's nothing. This is a house of my friend Dima. Also, parents passed away. They were quite a bit younger than my grandparents, so grandparents passed away in the beginning of 90s, and their daughter that lives in town next door, she had no interest of keeping a house, and nobody was interested of buying it, so now it's also going to despair. People taking off siding and taking roofing off this house. A lot of good memories of my childhood is from this place. There was another house on this side. All you could see just remnants of the fence. This lady passed away in the beginning of the 90s, and her son took a house apart. Now that son is also dead. As you can see, this barn already is missing the roof. People taking shingles for their own place. This house on the left had an interesting history. It was empty for a long time. Then the people from Belarus came back and they set up the greenhouse and was growing roses and other flowers. He was doing really well, making a lot of money. This house had a lot of cool ornaments everywhere, which you can kind of see the remnants of it. But then when the Soviet Union collapsed and the border patrols showed up, he started having a hard time sending his roses to Belarus, where his kids were selling them, so he ended up taking everything apart and moving to Belarus, abandoning this house. I'll show you one more house, and that will be the end of this short story. Actually, two more houses. This is house another friend of mine, Dima, Moroz family. Also, they passed away, and wife passed away, and the husband moved to his kids to Belarus, and that's where he passed away. Nobody interested in this place, and you could see people started working on this house too. Taking roof off the barn, taking gates off. There were interesting rumors about this guy who lived here. Some people were saying that he looked way too young for his age, and there were rumors that he had a criminal record when he was young, and during the war, when his brother was killed, he assumed his identity, his documents, so he lived all his life under his brother's name, who was 10 years younger. But it's always rumors. There's always rumors in a little village. Really nice house, also metal roof. and it's gone. There's another house, you can't even believe there is a house, but it's all overgrown by wild weeds. Also another friend of mine, his grandparents lived here. And this house also got abandoned in the middle of 90s. You can never hardly see the house. And it's going on and on for quite a bit more. Empty houses or remnants of the houses. There used to be a busy village. The village next door, Ushanka, is pretty much out of several hundred homes. There is only about 12 occupied right now. And that place officially is not a village anymore. They closed the grocery store, they closed the post office. And now people have to go shopping or to get supplies to our village or the village the other way. Hope you like this story. It's sad, but I think it's quite interesting. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Good morning again, comrades. And now we're in downtown Zhovid, the village that I spend every summer in 70s and 80s. As you see, it's 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning. And not much going on. White building behind the monument is our local grocery store. I don't think we have a single customer right now. But we will be looking at this building. So this is the church, which now is closed because there was not enough people in this village to support the priest. So there was a church originally before revolution. After the revolution, they knocked the cross down and took away this building from the Russian Orthodox Church. And for many years it was a club. So there was a movie theater, they had a pool table, they had meetings there. And I went here quite often during my summer break to watch movies. So now it's transferred back to the church properties, but they didn't have it open for too long because there was not enough people to donate money to support a full-time priest. And here we have a monument to the fallen soldiers during the World War II. It looks like this village was freed from Germans in September 24, 1943. So this grave contains 21, there's a list of 21 soldiers and one major that died, and also 68 unknown soldiers. Which is kind of interesting because, you know, when you retreat and you lose soldiers, they could become unknown because you left them behind. But if you move forward, I don't understand how the soldiers could be unknown. But this is another monument to the fallen soldiers during the World War II, Great Patriotic War. And this is like a standard monument. I think they probably made them in tens of or hundreds of thousands because I see a similar design all over the country. Back in the good old Soviet days, store at the left, that was a grocery actually store. And this on the right was so-called Selmag. So on the left was Selpo, on the right was Selmag. So that was selling, you know, clothing, shoes, whatever items of everyday use. And that's where I spent a lot of hours waiting in line to buy bread. That was a really basic selection of grocery items. Salt was in the bags, sugars was sold from the bags, maybe a couple options of cigarettes, a couple of options of vodka, bread when it's available, and a lot of canned fish. We never had shortage of canned fish. But otherwise, all through the 80s, it was really bare. And I remember a lady told me that usually they sold about 500 rubles worth of goods in this store. a hardware shop. New addition to our downtown is that little playground. Apparently some guy was trying to get elected, so he donated money and he planted. They've installed similar playgrounds in several villages around here, but he lost anyways. So our village actually has two monuments dedicated to the soldiers, fallen soldiers of World War II. This one is dedicated to the local villagers that didn't come back. So our village wasn't that small, wasn't that big either, but we lost a lot of people in the war. So there's a nine. Wow, I'm bad with math today too. So we got 4 and 4, 8. So 10 boards pretty much filled with names. So that's the local men that never came back from war. So as you see, Soviet government haven't spent a lot of money on these monuments, but they didn't do much to support actual veterans that survived the war. This house sits abandoned for a long time. I remember taking pictures of this house probably about 10 years ago. It was already abandoned, and it's right downtown. There's a club. Now club is there, village club. And no one is interested. Actually, it looks like roof is in really good shape, but logs probably getting bad. And right here next to it is the cellar. So that's how the usually cellars were built, like a little separate item building. And this is our shuttered post office. This is the building I came to pick up my parcels with bananas. If you listen to my story about bananas in the village, this is the place I came to pick it up. They actually even cut out power already. Wow. So they're trying to figure out how to save money with the villages dying out. So they decided it's too expensive to have a full-time post office person. So now it's closed, and I think it's open once a week for a couple of hours, something like that. I'm not positive because there's no more. No, powers go behind. Never mind. There are outside lights removed, but power's still there. I think it opens once a week for a couple of hours for people to get pensions. So it creates huge line even in this small village. Just like in Ushanka, this is Soviet era mailbox. Soviet symbol removed. In Russian letters, Pochta, repainted in Ukrainian style Pochta. So you can still, it's kind of like ironic. You can still feel it, you can see still the letters, Russian letters going through it. Here you also schedule when they usually pick up stuff, but they erase it since there's no more mail being picked up out of this and an access door.
Здравствуйте, мальчики и девочки. В эфире программа Ushanka Show. And speaking of boys and girls, мальчики и девочки, we're still at approximately 95% male and 5.6% female viewership on Ushanka Show. It's quite quite interesting situation here. Today we're gonna have a little bit different video. I'll show you some pictures that I took in Ukraine in the village of my mom's called Zhovid back in 2007. This village, is every other village in the Soviet Union, had its own collective farm called Avangard, and I'll show you their repair facility, what remained of it back in 2007. If you follow my channel, you should know that I went to this village every summer since I was a little kid, but I never visited this facility. It was kind of set up a couple kilometers away from the village and away from the collective farm, and the local name was Tabar, which is kind of like Ukrainian word tabir, like a camp. And I'm not sure why they put it there, but anyway, I never seen this facility in my Soviet days, but I managed to get there in 2007. So this one was their main building, quite large. It contained a big repair shop that we'll see shortly, and also showers, cafeteria, and some random equipment sitting around. So in 2007, this equipment was still sitting around. Later it disappeared. People dragged it and sold it for the metal scrap. So as I said, it's 2007. So collective farm was still existed on the paper, but it ceased to operate. So as you see, people removed a diesel engine. Anything else was of value and just left the metal skeleton. And in the far back, there's another red color, just a regular agriculture trailer for moving hay, manure, stuff like that. And here's the black and white picture for kind of like a dramatic effect. I think it looks pretty cool this way. And there's a cabin of the similar tractor, but here only cabin remained, the rest disappeared. And looking at the shape of the cabin, I think this tractor is similar to another tractor that I found in a village, but this one looks like it was privatized. So someone, former worker of collective farm, got the tractor after collective farm was dismantled. So while I was making this video, I zoomed on the picture. Unfortunately, I had a good camera, so you could tell that the tractor was called DT75, Dieselny Traktor, Diesel Tractor 75. So a quick Google search in Russian, DT75, DT75, and oh my goodness, I found so much interesting information. So this tractor was manufactured at several tractor factories in Soviet Union. Mostly it was made in Volgograd, or before that it was called Stalingrad tractor factory. So they manufactured this model from 1963 all the way till 1995. So for 32 years. The total amount of this model was manufactured 2.7 million tractors, including 1.6 million just in Stalingrad tractor factory alone. So this tractor is a fine example of socialist central planned economy. Since there was no competition, they manufactured exactly the same product for the record amount of time in record amounts. You know, it's unimaginable to have a same tractor manufactured for 30 years in millions without doing much of improvement. So the tractors from our collective farm, definitely models manufactured after 1978, when they changed the cabin. They put more bigger, like a fish tank style cabin, square cabin. And this is how DT75 looked before 1978 upgrade. So the cabin was smaller, more like a truck style cabin. And the fuel tank was placed behind the cabin. Another fun fact, because of the fuel tank was moved from the back of the tractor to the side, it got a nickname Почтальон, the postman, because it looked just like a Soviet postman with this bag on its side full of newspapers and letters. And now back to the main topic of our video, abandoned Tabar building. As you see, I didn't pay attention back then, but brickwork looks quite poor quality. Wasn't laid professionally. It was really looks like people who didn't know what they're doing were building this building. And this is how the majority of the building look inside. So it's a large open room for repairing large equipment, tractors. I don't know if you could fit combine inside, but as you see, still a lot of equipment was just left in place. Of course, later disappeared because it's all valuable scrap metal. And the sign on the opposite side says "Не курить," no smoking. And here's the close shot of "Не курить" message, and makes you wonder, I guess someone was smoking and they maybe had fire, and then after that it was like an afterthought, they just painted right over the concrete "Не курить." I guess placing a poster like this, "Don't smoke in the mine, but don't smoke at the repair facility," will be more impressive for such situation and for such location. Here's the close shot of the hook. I found pretty cool. Definitely well worn. It looks like it was made maybe in 1985. There's the number 85, 11, maybe 11 ton lifting capacity. And it definitely, I don't know if it's in America, it would pass like a basic rigging requirement for having so much damage on the hook. And that clip, it looks like it's bent. But anyway, I thought it would look pretty cool. I really wanted to borrow that thing, but it was just impossible for me to take apart and smuggle out. But what impressed me the most in that repair facility and this piece of equipment, which was sitting in a separate small room, I couldn't believe my eyes that was still there. Really neat, probably very expensive back in the day. So that's what we call in Russian станок, металлообрабатывающий станок. So it's a metal working станок. And the very next day I brought my brother back to this place. First day I went by myself and he was literally blown away from that abandoned place. I guess I just know my brother really well. I was really surprised, like he just was astonished and wanted to spend there all day exploring every nook and cranny. So that's a picture of him in the back there inspecting a second piece of equipment. And here's a close shot of that plaque on that piece of equipment. It was manufactured in Moscow in 1960. So it was in use for over 50 years. Ордена Ленина и Ордена Трудового Красного Знамени и станкостроительный завод «Красный пролетарий» имени Ефремова. So that's the name of the factory. So it's a equipment factory, Red Proletariy, so Red Worker, and it named after someone called Yefremov. So he's some kind of hero of the Soviet Union, and also had two awards, Orden Lenina and Orden Трудового Красного Знамени. Okay, so quick Google research, and Alexander Yefremov, he actually worked at this factory, Krasny Proletariy. He started working there in 1935 and went all the way from just a worker to director of the factory. And then later on in 1938, 1939, he was the top guy in Moscow. He was председатель, so he's like the leader of Moscow Soviet of workers, peasants, and Red Army deputies. Actually, he became a minister of the equipment construction of the Soviet Union back in 1946, and somewhere on this photo is his picture too. And here's the final picture from the second floor of that building. I think I had a film Nikon back then, don't remember honestly. But I found it's really cool that the young tree is sprouting among the bricks, and I made it black and white for kind of more drama, and I wish I had enough skills to make the tree actually green. That would look really sweet. There were several outbuildings, and I just found cool these doors and the signs. This one says Kladovaya, which means like a warehouse or storage area. And as you see, the door was used a lot because there's a marking on the door where when they unlock the door, the thing was swinging down and grinding into wood. And I just want to quickly point out that despite the fact this is Ukraine, and people in the area, they didn't speak really like pure Ukrainian language. It was a weird mixture of Ukrainian, Belarusian, and Russian. There's actually a name for that specific dialect, but all the signage is in Russian. Не курить, Skladovaya, and so on. Another cool door sign claims Sklad запчастей, so that's a warehouse of spare parts. Once again, sign is in Russian. But what I found interesting in this situation is the double lock. So you see this original old-fashioned rusty lock, but I guess people decided it's not enough and they put a new shiny one on it. I found that pretty cool. I wish I could get my hands on that old lock. It looks so neat. Another cool double door was the cool old lock. As I said, there's just a lot of character in these things. Unfortunately, they're gone now. And here we have two signs. One on the left says "Не курить," no smoking. And the one on the right says "Стой, брось папиросу," stop, throw away papyrus. So not throw away cigarette, threw away papyrus. I found really cute. And of course, both signs once again is in Russian. But what I found super cute is the misspelling. Papyrosa spells with P-A-P, papyrosa, but they wrote P-O-P, papyrosa. So that's kind of cute misspelling there. Sтой, брось папиросу. Then there was this really cool looking old rusty gas pump made in the USSR. Probably someone would pay buku bucks here in America, those crazy collectors of gas pumps, but I had no way of course, removing it and hauling it away. And I was a good pioneer back in the day. I didn't bring anything from that expedition. And here's the close shot of the gauge. The sign says Diz topliva, so diesel fuel, дизельное топливо, in liters, of course. And it's quite a cool looking vintage gauge. As I said, once again, I wish I would get brave and just at least take the gauge, but I didn't. And there was another fuel pumping station, and this one, as you see, some of it is in English, kind of, some is in Russian. Выдача литров means how many liters a person got. But on the top it says Adost. This company, this equipment was made in Czechoslovakia. I was told it's 1965 model, and this company is still in business. So they managed to survive collapse of the socialist camp, and they still supply gas pumps and other type of fuel pumps all over the Europe. So they're still in business, which I found quite amazing. But yeah, this is a Czechoslovakia product in the middle of northern Ukraine. Another close shot of the old lock. I thought it would look pretty cool. And you know, I'm thinking if somebody really wanted to break in, it would be super easy because doors made out of wood. All you need to do is just have a pry bar and you don't need to fight the lock. You just break out the whole latch system and then doors wide open. Another metal skeleton of the Soviet era tractor, but this one is a different animal. You could tell by the wheel well that it was a wheel tractor. So this is the remnants of tractor called Belarus, which came from Minsk tractor factory. So this is how this tractor looked during its better days. It was called MTZ-80, which stands for Minsky Traktorny Zavod, Minsk Tractor Factory 80, but everyone was calling it Belarus, which is Belarusia. Later they changed slightly the name and started calling it Belarus. So it's like a person who lives in Belarusia. And this tractor claimed it was the most popular tractor in the Soviet Union. Fun fact, tractors Belarus used to be exported into United States, and there's fan clubs of Belarus tractor owners, and quite a few farmers think that Soviet tractor Belarus was the best thing since the Soviet sliced bread. In Soviet Russia, bread slices you. And when I mentioned that MTZ-80 was one of the most popular wheeled tractors in the Soviet Union, I'm talking about 1.5 million tractors manufactured from 1974 until 1995. So once again, huge amount of exactly same tractors, and two factories were producing exactly same models, one in Minsk and one down south in Ukraine. But on that skeleton that I found, all I saw was of interest this little safety sticker that says «Тракторист, помни, поворот трактора при включенной блокировке дифференциала приводит к поломкам». So like tractor driver, remember, turning a tractor during when you block your differential can cause the breakage of the equipment. Well, my friends, it's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this trip to the abandoned collective farm repair shop, which I did back in the summer of 2007. As always, don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye. Hey, by the way, cool merch for cool comrades is available at the Ushanka store at teespring.com. Just a friendly reminder that my book American Diaries is available on amazon.com, or shoot me an email if you would like to have a signed copy. Thank you!